Hello and welcome to the NextPowerUp review summary of Call of Duty Black Ops 3. This is of course the Treyarch game and we've been playing this for the last week. I've sort of completed most of the campaign. I've just been faffing around a bit since on multiplayer and zombies mostly because I actually quite enjoyed that the most of all, to be honest. I'm just going to have a quick look at the graphics options menu. There's two here, of course. We have 4K resolution support, which is nice. We can also down scale the resolution because when I change this screen resolution down to 1920 by 1080, I can only move my mouse within this box, the size of the 1080p screen, which is a bit annoying. And so you have to change this render resolution to bring down the size. I have turned VSync on because tearing is absolutely diabolical at the moment. But fortunately, there is an unlimited FPS option, so there's no dodgy hidden caps or anywhere. Video options menu overall is actually pretty good. You've got a lot of random stuff here. Obviously, because I'm on 4K, I usually have anti-aliasing turned up, but we'll quickly turn FXA back on for this. And you've a couple of these options, like shadow map, add general texture quality. You have extra options as well, and I've just turned those off. Aside from in my benchmarks, I've turned them off for gameplay because they cause a lot of stuttering. They're the two main things that seem to cause some of the particularly poor, some of the not so great performance, nonsense stuff. So I'm just going to quickly jump into a match. Overall, it's a average game. I'm going to start off with that straight away because I don't know. I've played a number of the Call of Duty games, and to be honest, this isn't the best Call of Duty game I've played. It is better than the original Black Ops. I have played that and it was okay. It was alright. It was a bit meh. I mean, I think that was the game when they introduced the tonfas or whatever, which was a unique little thing, but still at the same time is a bit meh. And to be honest, the gunplay in this game is pretty basic. There's very little spread in terms of bullets. Yes, there's tons and tons of different weapons and loads of customization options, but every gun of each class tends to feel the same. So all of the light machine guns, all of the assault rifles, they all feel the same as each other. And the only thing that really differentiates between them all is the fire rate, pretty much, whether it's bursts, auto, semi-auto, whatever, which is a bit annoying, to be honest. You have so many different weapon unlocks in this game. Oh, that's annoying. Thought I'd get a bow at least.
Let's go get us some KIAs.
Alright. Where's my sniper rifle? There.
Black Ops. Mission clock is running.
Quickly knock down the audio a bit. I always have problems with audio. Doesn't matter what I do, always going to have problems with audio. Yeah, and another thing I've noticed in this game is whoever shoots first wins. Oh look, the crazy shadow stuff is happening again. Not really much I can do about that at the moment, to be perfectly honest. It seems to happen only when I'm recording, which is a bit peculiar. And it's down to using SLI instead of a single graphics card. Perhaps I should choose a different loadout. Go for the AK. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of Call of Duty Arcade. It's too arcade. It's just like the bleeding edge of arcade. It's so far across on arcade, it's just not fun anymore. To be perfectly honest, you can just aim and shoot, not worry about spread patterns because there are none. Most of the weapons are the same, so you just point and click in an enemy's general direction and they die. And so it feels like there's very little skill involved. It's sort of who has the lowest ping wins, combined with whoever has, you know, the quickest reflexes or whatever. And personally, I just find that to be a bit shitty. I much prefer Battlefield's combat style. It feels a little bit more streamlined and accurate. The weapons actually make a difference, whereas in this game it's just I'm just not a huge fan. Customization options in this game are excellent. There are so many deep bits of customization that you can do, which is pretty cool. You can customize the crap out of your weapons. Like, there's so many different options and unlocks to do, which is really, really awesome. But unfortunately, because all the weapons feel pretty much the same, it sort of ruins the point of customizing a weapon you've really grown accustomed to or attached to because of certain stats. There's very little in the way of style. The only way you can sort of differentiate yourself in terms of weapon style is just by choosing between an assault rifle, a shotgun, or whatever. Anyone that uses a shotgun can't understand why unless they're playing on a CQB map. Shotguns in this game are awful unless you're in super, super tight corridors or unless you're playing zombie mode. Yeah, I'm just really not a fan of this shooting method. It's quite literally designed for people who are not very good at accurate things. One thing I noticed when I was playing zombies is that I was always top on headshots. Because nobody in this game seems to aim anymore. Because the aiming and spread pattern is so small and so crappy, you very quickly find yourself top on headshots in many matches. Everyone else might have more kills than you for sure, but it just seems like people just run around sprinting permanently, like I am right now, and then firing in an enemy's general direction in the hopes that you'll kill someone. So it's very, very inelegant. It's too simplistic for my taste. It's very, very, very basic. And to be honest, I just find it really, really bland. I thought, I'm going to do a review of Call of Duty to change my mind about this game, to make me think that it's going to be better than the previous Call of Duties, except all I found is that it has met every stereotype and is just as bland as I remember it being. The cost is ludicrous. Everyone knows all Call of Duty games have always been ridiculously expensive. And to be brutally honest, I can think of many much better games for the price that are vastly more enjoyable. Some even that have better graphics. Some that have a bit more variation between their weapons. And some that have much better online communities, to be perfectly honest. It's an alright game. The campaign, I think, is not as pizzazz as it could be. They spent all of their time making very fancy scripted events during the gameplay and not much time on the actual gameplay or on the actual storyline, and so the campaign is below average in my opinion. The multiplayer is good. The multiplayer has always been the main reason for people to buy Call of Duty games, but I just struggle to find anything remotely above average about this game. Customization options are wonderful. They are probably the best aspect of this game, which is probably not a great thing to hear about a game, to be honest. Hey, you can customize your weapons, but the core gameplay mechanics are pretty terrible. So I think, even though I haven't played Battlefield since Battlefield 3, I would still much rather play that than this at this stage. Obviously, don't buy this for the campaign. If you're going to buy it for the multiplayer, but you need to be fully aware of just how bland the game is, to be honest. And it's not because I'm losing this match. I've actually enjoyed myself on multiplayer quite a bit over the last few days. I'm a fan when I don't have to listen to people on the general chat, and I quite enjoy it, even if I am slowing in my very early 20s. But it's still relatively decent. So overall, I don't rate this game that much at all. I completely disagree with almost every review out there that's giving this an 8 or a 9 out of 10, to be perfectly honest. And to be honest, the cost for this game is absolutely ludicrous. I can't imagine where they spent the millions of development dollars that they did, except in marketing, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, my view of this game isn't so great. the best part of this game is probably the zombies for me. I don't think anything at all in this game made me like it. Particularly apart from the zombies. They spent a lot of time in the zombie mode. The map is massive, and it looks like I've just crashed the game. Oh no, there we go. And it's just so disappointing. I literally cannot believe this. It's just depressing, really, how a game that cost this much, had such a large budget, is so bland. The campaign has obviously never been a highlight, but some of, like the campaign in Modern Warfare, that was really good. That was very interesting. It was pretty engaging. It had a pretty good story. It had some decent characters. And I remember every time a new Call of Duty game came out, everyone would be like, oh yeah, Captain Price, all this random crap. And, you know, people remembered characters from those games and thought how cool it was. And they just remembered it and it was iconic. Whereas these, it's just the campaign and the voice acting and the characters and the amount they spent on putting famous people's faces on the characters. The campaign's average. I couldn't keep on track with the storyline because it was just so uninteresting. The gunplay is so horribly basic. One thing I found really annoying is that most of the time you can pick up random guns on the floor. Like, throughout all the missions, when you kill an enemy, you can pick up their gun. That's the same in most games. To be honest, you can always pick up their guns. Except in this one, you can't. And it seems very randomized, and most of the time you can't pick up enemies' guns, but very occasionally you can. And I don't quite understand why that is how it is. And to be honest, the performance is absolutely diabolical. I mean, I have to have a very select few specific things set the way they are. Like, as you can see, I've got this absolutely crazy, insane shadow issue on Crossfire, but only when recording, which is massively irritating. And just the 12 gig of RAM requirement to not get stuttering is absolutely ludicrous. The CPU load on 1080p and on 4K, and randomly just got disconnected from a multiplayer game, was way above what an i5 could produce. Yes, if you had a ludicrously high clocked i5 overclocked, you'd probably alleviate any bottlenecks that the CPU would have. But currently my CPU in intensive situations sits at around 69%. On the big situations, on 1080p it's ever so slightly less, but it's still in the high 60s, and it just uses up a lot of everything. VRAM wise, I've only used 4 gig because that's all I have available to my 295X2 on each GPU core. But talking to my boss, who also did benchmarks for Call of Duty, he had a Titan, and that was using well over 6 gig of VRAM, I think, on 1440 or 1600p. So the VRAM requirements are absolutely insane. The RAM requirements are insane. The CPU requirements are insane. The only thing that's not insane is the GPU requirements, because on 1080p you could, if it weren't for the ridiculous VRAM usage, you could actually run this game on a 270X, no problem whatsoever. The core usage is not that high at all. On 1080p you do need a 295X2 minimum. I was basically maxed out on 4K on the 295X2 when Crossfire was working, and I didn't get the dubious shadows. So performance is dire for something that's cost so much to produce. Gameplay is equally bland and simplistic, and the only redeeming factors are the fact that they've spent so much time expanding the zombie mode, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna sit here and say the zombie mode is awesome, and if they released the zombie mode as a separate, like, expand alone, I'd probably go out and buy that, because I think the zombie mode of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is probably one of the absolute highlights of this game, and I think it's awesome. And the customization depth is insane, and it's absolutely fantastic. But it's a shame that the gunplay is so simplistic and bland, and that lets it down a lot, and just the general gameplay blandness lets it down a lot. So overall, I'm pretty unimpressed by this certain sequel in the series, and I expected a hell of a lot more from a AAA title. So I'm sure there will be dozens, if not, well, there's going to be thousands of people that disagree with me and think it's wonderful and it's the next coming of Christ. But I have to be honest and critical, and when comparing it to other games, and just there are so many other first-person shooters that are better than this. Like, honestly, brutally, even though it doesn't have a campaign mode, I honestly think Insurgency is better than Black Ops 3. The gunplay is more interesting. Yes, it doesn't have as many weapons or as many customization options, but it does have the upgrades. All the guns feel inherently different. It's challenging, it's varied, there's different checkpoints. It's just a good, solid quality game. If anything, after I've played Black Ops, I'm probably gonna go and play Insurgency to just cleanse myself and regain some faith in the first-person shooter genre, because this is just insane. And as you can see, I've been sat on this loading screen for very, very, very long time, and that's pretty much a case in most of the game. There are so many loading screens. You can't skip halfway through some cutscenes because they are also loading screens. So yeah, it's just, I'm sure this game has probably a lot better performance on consoles, but as it stands on PC, this is probably one of the worst instances of, you know, just development. Oh, fantastic! This game, it's like sometimes it just doesn't want to try, ever. That and getting disconnected from Activision servers and losing some campaign progress. It's not been a good week, let's put it that way. And just to be clear, I came into this review saying to myself, I'm going to play Call of Duty Black Ops 3 because I think this is going to be one of the best ones in the series. I think they've finally turned it around. I think they've finally managed to make a game they want to make, and not just something that's going to be a rehash of previous stuff that they've made. But they haven't, to be honest. And all they've made is just another reskin with super soldiers that don't feel like super soldiers. So yeah, unfortunately that is that. If you head on over to the text review in the box below, you can read the full review and also the full performance analysis in the link below as well. And of course there is the early impressions video if you think that's worth watching. Probably not though at this stage. So yeah, if you're looking for any tech related queries or tech related news, head on over to our sister channel at TechPowerUp, and of course join us next Saturday for our Next Week in Gaming episode, and next week on Thursday for our next review, which I can reveal to be StarCraft 2. So thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts about Call of Duty, of course. My opinion is not something that should affect yours. So yeah, let us know in the comments below, or head on over to the review and leave us a comment there. See you later.